Hey, welcome back in, Mr. Smith Garage. Hey, a new episode. Most exciting thing was last episode. We got the start jack. We ran. We found that we needed to make sure that our EGR bar, whatever that thing's called, that lever that comes from the throttle body over to the EGR filter inlet on a California air-cooled model of a Vanagon needs to be hooked up, because that valve lets additional exhaust into the plenum. And then the other thing that we found is that I had, we think, I haven't tested it yet, we think that we had a bad cold start valve, because the cold start valve seemed like every time it was plugged in, it would just kind of die and black smoke would come out. So we were thinking that it was flooding the system, had a leak or something. So I found another cold start valve out in my shed from some other Vanagon motor. It must have been the burnt one, is all I can think of, because it was out there in the shed in my other miscellaneous parts bag of tricks, goodies, bits and bobs, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, so I hooked that one up late last night, and I haven't fired it again. The other thing that happened was when we were bleeding the brakes and the clutch slave cylinder, the cylinder that's right on top of the transaxle, my bleeder broke off, and so I ordered a new one. For all the trouble that I would go through to take that off, I'm going to keep this as a spare part, but I'm going to just put a new one in there. Need to make sure I can get this line off, because that was actually the next big challenge. But what I'm going to start this video out with is we're going to put this dash in, hook up all the gauges. One thing that you have to remember to do that is you do have to lower the column, because this won't fit on there with the column in there, and there's two bolts that go through the dash into the column, so you have to make sure you lower the column. The other thing I'm going to try and do is maybe hook these up before I get it all the way installed. Yeah, and I got to pull the wires through, and there's a bunch of stuff to do. So anyway, that's kind of the next step of what we're going to do. Try and find a place to hang this camera so you can watch what's going on. All right. Thanks for joining Mr. Smith Garage. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Why not? Who else works on air-cooled Vanagons, right? So if you're an air-cooled Vanagon nut, or maybe you have bay window, and the 2.0 motor is what you're interested in, or you're just interested in altogether rebuilding of a cool, nostalgic Volkswagen Vanagon Wesfalia with pop-top camper. I mean, all that stuff still has to. I think I have a video out there of redoing the top, but I haven't put the tent in. We still got to straighten out that lift bar, because it's got a couple little bends in it. But yeah, this whole thing, it's the whole project. So this will be episode 6. I got everything kind of off of this edge. Nothing's down in here. Yep, just the screws that are holding in the windshield wiper parts. And I'm gonna crawl my way in here. There. Okay, that's about where it goes. What you're not seeing is these two straps that come down to hold onto the steering column. They're just a little off. I'm trying to be careful of the brake reservoir. Yeah. Is that how it fits in there? Feels like there's something over here that's not right. Might be something. So let's. Okay, these two straps here have to fit in there. We got to get all this stuff properly fit and put in. Just gonna bring these out so that I know where I'm at on those. All these wires are out. For that, you can see there's little screws that hold it in the top. We also have to hold it in the sides here, and then these two pieces hold it when the steering column comes back up. And then there's also on that side, there's a couple spots. It feels like it's jamming up on something over here, so let's get over here and look. Yep, that's why it wasn't going in on this side. So, my hose. So this is going to come out and in, and then there, that's going to fit in there nicely. Okay, so now it's a matter of getting some stuff hooked up and plugged in, making sure all these hoses fit in the right spot. The wires are all in the right spot. This thing needs to make sure it fits in the right spot here for my levers. Okay, and then there's Zero the dog. Hi, Zero. Good? Yeah? Enjoying sniffing around? This is all fitting on here okay. Good. Got access to all the wires to push them up through. Okay, I think we're pretty close to being able to hook the column back up. Put some screws in these sides. Looks like those are pre-threaded for 6 mil. Yeah, 6 mil. So we'll find some 6 mil Allens we'll put in there, and then we also have to attach up here on the top. Make sure everything fits so that we don't secure it in there before we get everything in right. Well, I think we'll do this first, make sure it's all in the right spot. All right, we're gonna try and extract this bleeder. See if I can get this to work. Oh. We're gonna keep going a little bigger. As long as we're not hitting the threads. Okay, let's see if that little guy will fit in there now. It will, but it's bottoming out. See if I can go a little deeper, huh? Let's see if I got one bigger. That one might work. Oh, it did work. Look at that. There we go. Extracted. Now we just got to clean this out real good. You know, when you take your time at stuff, it just turns out better. So that I actually got that bleeder out pretty easily. Here's the broken one that I drilled out. And I happen to have down in my car engine drawer a couple of bleeder valves, and I just cleaned one up and stuck it in there. Oh, that one's brass. Yeah, cleaned one up, stuck it in there, and then I preloaded it because all that stuff comes in at the top, and so I put some brake fluid in there. I've got that tight, this tight. It's basically ready to go in. Getting the back tire off and then going back underneath there and reinstalling, which isn't technically very easy because the way that bracket is on top of the transaxle, bolt that's towards the back is really hard to get on. So there's one kind of coming from the back, unless you have the engine out. But with the engine in, there's definitely a lot more room to reach up there because I don't have a synchro, so I don't have the fuel tank back there. But I took the vent out, like the hot air vent to the front of the cab, and just was able to get it in there. So hopefully I'll be able to get that done here shortly, and we'll be done with that and back to the dash, which I'm still working on. Just took a little break for that. So this is the clutch cylinder, the hydraulic cylinder. It goes up in that bracket right there. And you'll notice that when I stick this thing in here, I kind of lose access to the back. This place where the back nut goes in. Oh, let's see. I want to make sure that we get it on that ball. But I am going to try and get it loaded into this thing first so I don't leak a bunch of fluid before I tighten it down, because when I tighten it down it's going to push some fluid back into the system here. Oh, see what it's doing right now. Let's see, let's try and get my arm up here. Let's try and get this threaded at least. There we go. Got a few threads going. Hopefully my arm's not completely in your way. Okay, let's get the 12 mil. Where did it go? There it is. Clean those threads up so that they would thread nicer, which they are. That's good. You can see some of that fluid leaking down the wrench. It's all nice and clean under here, at least, huh? If I got a big enough wrench for this side. I think that might be a 19. I think I brought 17. We'll see as we get closer here. Okay, I do need another wrench now. Let's see, did I bring a 19? Maybe? Here's the 15. That's not big enough. Let's see if that's 17. No, I do need to go get a 19. I'll be back. It is a 19, and so we're gonna get this all tightened up here. Yeah. There's a nut right here. This thing is so beastie that it doesn't want to fit on there without hitting the nut. Okay, that's tight. I know it's tight on top. So now let's see if I can get this little clip in there that holds it. There's the clip.
clip goes on this back side. There it is. There we go. Just have to kind of push it a little bit. That's good. Okay. So now the next step is trying to figure out how to get these guys up there. And I think I was going from the bottom up. So putting the bolt in the bottom. Let's make sure I got this in there. Yep. Let's get one side on at least. I know it's kind of hard for you to see there because of my arm. Oh. That's what we didn't want to do. We don't want to lose any of this hardware. Okay, I'm moving to the other side, sorry. Hopefully you can still see what's going on. Let me find that washer. Uh-oh. Where did my washer go? Well, it was up there. And it would fall too. Oh, there it went. Just fell in my chest. Okay. Let's try this again. Without dropping anything. So I'm holding it with my thumb and then just threading the top. So what's important sometimes about having new hardware is you can at least get the thread started. Okay, now the back one is the tough one. Okay, I think I heard somebody's voice say bring a magnet. So I got a longer bolt and I brought a magnet. Now these are stainless, so they just won't stick as well. But I brought a couple magnets to try. So let's see if we can get this thing up in there, okay? Okay, a longer bolt. So first I'm just gonna try the longer one. See if because it's longer I can maneuver it with my fingers not in that space. Oh, didn't work so far. I only tried it once. Aha! Okay. Ha! So I got it in there. Now I gotta figure out how to hold it up while also putting that over the top. And I don't want it to fall. So I want to at least get a washer and a nut on there. Oh, it fell. Okay. Here's where maybe the magnet might help. Magnet. Nope. Stainless steel. And it just fell out. Okay, so I'm gonna have this stuff available enough that once I get it in there, I don't have to let go of it. Nut and washer. Go up over the top this way. Washer's on. And come on, nut. Got it. Okay, so longer bolt gives you a little bit more, at least if you have fingers as fat as mine, huh? And we'll need that bolt and other washer. Just want to get these started. Aha. Okay. Make sure that's on the right thing. We're going to tighten this down. I'm reaching over the top of this thing. And I've got this 13mm bent wrench that fits in the slot back here because it's bent. Let's see if I can get it. I don't know if you can see how it's fitting through the slot, but I just have to hold it enough. Actually, let's see if I don't think that works if I do it that way. Working in kind of cramped quarters here, mainly because I'm trying to keep the garage door closed, keep it cooler. Tighten, yep. Make sure we're going the right way. It's just a difficult spot. Okay, so again, here's a closer look at this thing. Bolts go up through the back and then up on top, which I don't know how much you can see of that. I'll put the light up here. There are two nuts on top. Hopefully you can see that okay. Whew. That was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. That went together much more difficult. And it might just be because my hands are larger. Okay, so now I gotta, while I'm in here, I should probably hook up this and the hose. But maybe not. Maybe I'll wait to do that from up above. Okay, let me crawl on out of here. Hey, we're here in the Lowe's parking lot doing a little quick get together. Of course, my Vanagon's not running well enough to get here, but we're kind of like this Westie group, Shasta VW Westies. And so here's Jim's Synchro. Then we got another Westie for Dave and Miriam, and then Jimmy's got his old bay window Westie. Runs good. He's got to do some work on it. The front end, the rear end. But yeah, having a good time out here. Coffee and donuts. I'll show you the inside of this Synchro. This is a conversion. It wasn't originally a Westie, so they cut the roof out, and but fully ready to go.
That whole shirt's a lie, you know.
No, this is a good shirt. The VW Racing. And then of course Ferdinand the Porsche got the hood up. We're just looking good with the new seat covers. That's great. All right, we'll be back into Jack here in just a few moments when I get home. All right, we're gonna fire it up here, see if it runs, and we'll try this new cold start. See if it hooked up, it works okay.
It's nothing like a quiet morning. The sprinklers just came on, but it was so quiet. I could hear coyotes in the background. And it's always nice, super early in the morning. It's cool this morning, so I've got the garage door open over here on the side. I don't have the fans on yet, but I probably will turn those on just to bring the temperature down. It's less than 90 degrees already. Whew, that's cool for the garage. So we're gonna try and, it's 89 degrees, try and bring that temperature down a little bit. So last night started it right up. The other thing I found, I don't think I've mentioned yet, is I found this part. I don't know where this is not a new part because it's crusty. I thought maybe I bought it from Vanagon, but I just found it in my shed, so I must have had it from, it was either from this vehicle, it couldn't have been from the first vehicle, the donor vehicle. So anyway, I do have this. It goes right down here between here and here. So we'll get that set up and on there. And I did change the positioning of this last night. Got it in there so it's not super close to the electrical of this, but it is leaking. It's got a little leak. It seems like the leak is at the top. It's actually at somewhere on the pressure regulator, not on the threads. So I'll probably have to replace this. I got this on Amazon. I think it was pretty cheap. But everything else is working. It started right up last night. And I plugged in the cold start. Again, this is one of my pieces from the fire. Not the fire, the donor vehicle that was on fire. So must not have damaged anything on here, even though it melted all the hoses across the top. I think today I'm going to work on the dash. I've got the dash basically in. Tools. Got the dash basically in. I just got to make sure I know where all the wiring is going to be and hook up the ventilation thing, all the thermostat stuff. So I think I'm going to sit here and work on the dash, get the steering column back up. I've got some wires still to run over for the cigarette lighter charger thing that I have. And we got to get the vents in. Just trying to think if there's more wiring I need to do under there. I don't have anything wired for a radio or stereo or CB or anything, which I could do pretty easily. But that's where I'm at. All right. Thanks for joining me again this fine morning, bright and early. Nice, cool morning. I'll talk to you again soon and show you what's going on. Okay, as I'm in here in the dash, I'm still finding things that I need to work on. So, like this ground wire to the horn was completely obliterated, the little spade that goes on there. So I replaced that. So that's on there now. You have to make sure you know where your wires are going. So like I know these are going to go into the back of the... So as long as they can fit through here, then I think we're good, which they can. I did also find out that all 4 of these red wires are 12 volts without the key on. So these are all running hot, no key. So I'm assuming one of them will go to the cigarette lighter over there. Or my little power switch that I'm going to have. One of them maybe to the radio. That might be what this one is with the 5 amp fuse. That can fit over there to get power to the radio. And then there was a couple of other ones here that I think went along with this wire, and this wire went all the way back here to inside this spot where I think there's a battery, a secondary battery. So I'm gonna have to find out what this wire is. It's either gray green, or gray with a green stripe, or white with a green stripe. So there's an extra wire. Just want to make sure I locate and configure everything out before I get this thing up there. I know I can always take down the fuse block and see what wires are, but just trying to make sure that I'm routing things correctly. I did find that this little packet right here goes underneath the steering column. When I pulled the steering column down, it pulled my brake lines out, which are down in there. You can see they clip in, and see this wire came across and snapped those guys out. So anyway, just kind of working through this. Making sure everything's clean so that I have an easy reinstall here. And, about ready to, let's see, I think we're gonna put the side ones in first. I've got these where they somewhat need to be, so I'll put these side ones in first and see how it goes. Okay, so working on getting this in. Something was jamming against something. I don't know what it was, but these all seem to fit in the right spot. There's this piece, but basically I'm just putting in the sides. So that I put the side in over there, putting the side in over here. Then I'll go back and do my steering column, and then the last thing I'll do is the little holes up here at the top. But you can see up under here, you know, we have access to that wire thing if we don't want to have to take off the. I think everything's fitting in there okay. Looks like it. That actually was pretty tough to put in the thermostat thing here, so I'm hoping that's. I might have to put some different screws in the sides here. I don't know. It seems pretty. Well, I gotta tighten it up a little bit, but it's pretty stable. As long as those cables move easily, I think we're okay. Okay, we're putting in the steering column. Make sure you don't pinch any wires in between this when you're tightening this up. There's some loose wires down here. You just don't want to get them stuck in between this spot. I just wanted to take note of that. Let's see. So just kind of going back and making sure I don't have any wires in the way there. Okay, so I'm not going to tighten it all the way up because I want to be able to move this up based on where these holes are. So don't want to tighten it all the way up. Should be able to slide back and forth. There we go. And you can see it slides. This piece slides in there. It's got a rubber mount there. This is a collapsible steering wheel, so if you do get a front-end collision, there's some collapsibility here, and that's what's going on here. It'll all come apart. At least that's what it's supposed to do. This, if you get hit in the gearbox, here, let me show you right here.
So if you get hit down here in the lower front end, this is just slotted in there. It will basically push this forward so that it doesn't push this forward. At least that's the idea. So safety in Volkswagens. All right, moving along here. We've got our wires for the dash up here. Should be one more over here. There's that. There it is. Wires for the dash up above. I've got this plenum, or fresh air hose hooked up. In order to get those on there, because they're round, I had to kind of just mold them a little bit to more of a oval. This one's going to go over the top of that one into this guy that I got from Uniworks, and then the wires are going to come up from behind here through there. So might as well work on that right now to get you set up. Okay, let's hope you don't fall. We shall see. Okay. We're going to run power wire up. Round wires up. How many grounds do I have? Oh, and that one's going to go down. Okay, so let's see if... Hopefully we made it long enough. These two are going to go through. Blue wire is my sending wire. And the white wires is for a light. So that's going to go up for my light. Positive white light. White wire. And the ground wire is going to go down and hit the ground tree. And then the red wire is going to go down and find power when the ignition's on. This little square thing should fit around that. Breaking it. It is tricky. Make sure that that's going to fit. Oh yeah, see, it's bare. Yeah, I got to fit it down below. So you're not even going to see this, but basically I'm just trying to get this square piece over the top of this thing so that it won't come off while we're driving down the road. And it shouldn't, it's just a fresh air hose, but let's make sure we got all of our wires here. Got two browns, a light for a white, blue for sending, and red for power. Okay, then we're gonna click this down in there. That's what that clicks. I think this is still too long. I think I need to cut this one more down. Let's do that. Alright, so I just came across a little problem with this, and it's the light. So if I want this up facing me, and the wires for the bottom of this will go down through here, but the top ones are going to be kind of out. I mean, I won't really see them, but you can see them from the dash. So what I think I might do is change the way those two are wired to be like a little sideways wire that kind of goes down
So I think I've got a couple of those things. It's going to be a little tricky with this ground wire, but I think I can make it work. So that's what I'm doing next. Boy, it may have turned fall. Oh, it just went up to 82. We're down to 81 degrees in the garage. Whew, it's feeling good. I'm going to tell you a couple things that I did here. I got this defroster in. You know, they're not these fit in really nice. These ones kind of, they're a little off, but you know what? I'm pretty happy with them because let me show you from the other side. Got all the screws in on the top of the dash here. This is what this one looks like from the back after I did these new things here. So it just doesn't clip down, which I'm not sure why, but I don't want to be really hard on this because I already cracked it once from trying to pull this tachometer out. I'll show you from inside. Oh, I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, it kind of cracked over here, but it sits in there fine. I'm hoping as we're going down the road it's not going to rattle, you know. None of these things will rattle. This one also doesn't quite pop all the way in on the back side. It looks like it's just a little wide, but that's okay because here's the gauges I want. I don't really have a way to tighten these in because they're new style gauges. This one also just fits right in there. There's no tightening of the back to keep it in there, but it's not going to come out. I also, you know, I think we talked about these things. You kind of got to oval them out, and then this, I put it on first and then slid it down through that little elbow, and then put this on the power wire for the whole system. I found, using my thing, I found a wire that only when the key is on it gets power, so I plugged it in there. And then also my ground trees are right up here, and they are all, if you can see them, maybe they're up there somewhere. Basically, I've cleaned them all up and I got grounded in there, so everything's ready for me to put the instrument cluster in. These wires, yeah, I wasn't sure where this light goes, but there is a light that's in the defroster that's supposed to illuminate some stuff in there. All these wires are hot wires. They're 12 volts all the time, so that's why I kind of covered them with some kind of a cover so they wouldn't short out anywhere. And then these are also 12 volt all the time. I haven't figured out what I'm going to use those for, and then I still haven't figured out this one. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go grab the instrument cluster off right over there, and I think we're about ready to stick it in here. See which plugs we'll use. Whether it's, I think I've got plugs over there that are a little bit cleaner than these ones, and pretty sure one of these has a light that you insert in. I think it's this one that has a light that goes in there, which I don't know if I have it on this plug, but I might have it on the other plug. So that's where we're at. Things are moving along. Oh, I did take this down. I probably put this back up before I plug this stuff in. Maybe not. Okay, I just found some more hot wires. It's probably good to kind of check which wires are hot, but this wire's hot all the time, and it runs to this one, which is hot all the time, and then it goes back to the back. So I think I'm gonna cover this. This is a light switch. Along with that is also a light switch. So let's hook something up so we can turn that or keep that power protected. All right, so this is going to be the true test. I've got my instrument cluster with one of the old tapes on here, some switches. I've also got some switches up here. We're going to see how it all works, and hopefully it'll all work. When we get it plugged in, we'll turn some stuff on and see what happens.
I don't have any headlights or taillights in, so I'm kind of wondering if when I hit the switch, if the dash lights will show up. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, so hopefully you can see the back of that a little bit better. I'm going to come from the outside. Alright, so this piece slots in right here. Only goes one way. Kind of clicks in there. These guys, they're gonna come up kind of around the side here. Oh, look at that. See, I messed up. Okay, these wires are actually supposed to come up through this slot here and plug in. Otherwise, you can't get the dashboard in there. So let me fix that. Okay, back of the instrument cluster, we've got these wires going through the appropriate spots on the side. Totally forgot about that first time. And then I've got to hook this speedometer cable up. And so we'll do the speedometer cable first, since it's the tightest thing in here. Don't lose it in there. Uh-oh. You know, I don't know if the speedometer cable is going to work on the speedometer. Look at that, it's a quick release. And here is my old speedometer. It's not a quick release. It's interesting. And so we have another problem. So I need to get this off. Or tape a new one on there. I think that's the bottom of it. So let's clean this one up, and we'll see what we can do to get a new needle on there. Alright, the other thing I'm thinking right now is it might be easier to actually replace this top speedo cable. I'm going to go look for one of those, but for now let's hook up the rest of our electrical. Let's come over to this side here. Let's do our flasher unit first, which will have these two wires on this side, and the big thing goes kind of underneath. Little ground wire. This top blue wire. And then these guys will go my little insulation stuff doesn't make it easy. Let's do the big wire first. Keep these over to this side. Actually, let's do the bottom one first. It's going to be like so. And then this one, like so. Is it in there? Uh-oh. Do I have it crooked? No, it's in there. That's right. Okay, little ground wire goes over here. And then this wire here. Got it. Okay, so this side is done. And in there. I have to see if this, with all this stuff that I put in there, if that's going to work or not.
This one's not. It's a good thought to keep that stuff clean, but if this is going to restrict it from getting set up in there, then we don't necessarily need it. Okay, so this one is our headlight and our let's put this around the back. Got two little ones on this side. Okay, we're gonna find a lamp for this so that we can see it at night. Okay, that one's in. And now this one. Push it in there too hard, only goes one way. There it goes. Okay, so the only thing we don't have hooked up right now is the speedo. And let's see if I can get this adjusted to where it fits in here. These pieces that are tight in there, so let me work on that, make sure it's not jammed up against the there we go. Gonna bring that around. And then I've got those tabs that fit over these, so let me get some screws for this, put those in, and then it'll be in. Okay, I didn't even notice it was the first time I stuck it in there, but the clock's working. Look at that. We'll set the time, 10:32. Just make sure we can set the time. That's just the second hand. There we go. It's gonna take a while. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this video here. Dash in. Okay, let's take a look here. Can you see? Oh, it's dark, isn't it? Well, let me turn the lights on. Well, so I've got a light here. Doesn't look like my lights on this two are working. I've got a light on my RPM gauge, and then these are super bright. I've also got over here, tells me how many volts I've got. I've got 12.4 volts. Turn that off, and that's also a charger. My fan works. Maybe. Oh, no, actually, that's without the lights on. Okay, but that's without the key on. So now if I turn the key on, okay, look at this. My lights, my warning lights light up. I'm sure once I start it, those go away. And I still think I still get lights there, but not on the overhead. And then my fan comes on. Okay, got fans coming out through there. All right, super excited. Looks good. Got to work on these little light bulbs. This, well, that's the Jeep fan. Let's see, what else are we working on? We got to find some kind of a. I'm gonna try to do some kind of a stereo that's a single din that also has kind of a screen on it. I just got to make sure that it fits kind of in here where I can see it. But it doesn't block some of the other stuff that's here. Super exciting. Still waiting on the steering wheel. I did get the adapter, so hopefully the steering wheel that I'm getting will fit the grant or the MP adapter. We'll see. That'll come sometime this week. So next episode, this is episode 6. I was gonna go down to Van Gogh Rama, and last night my wife and I were talking, Mrs. Smith and I, and we just decided, nah, let's just stay home. And so I stayed home and worked quite a bit on this, getting some of this stuff together. So sorry I missed Van Gogh Rama, but I'm sure I will go down for the winter event that they do every year in San Francisco at Ocean Beach. So that's the plan. Other than that, I'm going to wrap this one up and try to post some stuff. It's great being able to kind of get some stuff done, and it's running and it starts up, not a problem right now. Like, I just started up before we went out for lunch, and it's a good Sunday. So thanks for watching Mr. Smith Garage. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and enjoy some of the back channel stuff. I mean, we've gone through a lot of different things, and right now we're working on Jack, which is this 81 air-cooled Vanagon. And we've got the engine done, suspension all done, brakes are bled. I should have brakes. Yep, I do have brakes. And yeah, we're just working on getting through this wiring, and then we'll start putting windows in and sanding the outside. And yeah, there's a lot of work to do on this thing. But super excited that it's running, and we do have to get it smogged because we're in California. So we'll hopefully get some of that done as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.